I'm Navya, and we're all in the same class.
So yeah, I'm Nischal.
Yeah, I'm Shailesh Kumar Sharma. We are on the same class.
And
Okay.
Pooja.
So we are from RV College, and as part of our project management course,
Okay.
we have this assignment of interviewing an industry personnel and gaining insights about his or her experience in the field of project management in general.
Sure.
So that's why we decided to interview today Jagadeesha Pampapathi, who is a program manager at Philips Research, India.
Good.
So yeah, we'll start now. So sir, tell us about yourself and your journey so far in this industry, and how you came to your current position at Philips.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting, actually. Yeah. To start with, I started my journey in 1995 in ITI. I think you might knowing Indian telephone industry near that Kiarpuram, right? So I was actually started my career in that company. So there I was working as a graduate engineer trainee, like after completion of graduation. So there will be a 1 year training as a, I think sometime it is called on that time apprentice training. Okay. So I was working in switching R&D department. So I involved in some of the projects like multiplexer. So on that time, main processor card, system interface card. So that kind of electronic telecommunication, a kind of new inventions were going on, like all the like the data, whatever now we are talking voice data and all. So how can we transmit in a single way, single line? So that way, the inventions were started in Indian telephone industry at that time. So after a year, because the government companies after the training, so they always have so many criteria. So I could not able to continue in the company. So I joined again Kirloskar Electric Company as an engineer. So, Kirloskar Electric Company, right now, you might be knowing the Metro Wholesale, right? So, which is there in Yashwantpur. So, earlier, the company was there in that premises, actually. Okay, so basically, I actually took the job in Mysore Kirloskar Electric Company, but I joined here 6 months of training in Bangalore Kirloskar, and then I moved to Mysore. Okay, so I completed in Kirloskar Electric around 3.5 years. Then there was an opportunity, as you know, the medical device or healthcare industry is booming up at that time. So I took that opportunity and I just joined L&T, Larsen and Toubro Limited. Okay, there I joined as a senior engineer. So there I started working in again R&D department, research and development, and then I moved to a production, the manufacturing area basically. So then I again worked in quality assurance also a little bit, like doing auditing and other areas in the QA area. But later I moved to Chennai, a Japan-based company, Shimadzu Medical. I think you might be heard, like one of the person in Shimadzu got Nobel Prize also. So basically, Shimadzu Corporation is a Japan-based company. So they actually opened a unit in Chennai. So I actually joined as a assistant manager. So as a manager post, as a first time. Okay. So in quality assurance area. So then I had a chance to visit a parent company like Kyoto, I think, which is there in Japan, and Shimane. There is a factory of Shimadzu India. So that way, I got a knowledge on medical devices with respect to X-ray equipment. You people might have seen this kind of equipments in hospital, right? Like CT scanner, like computer tomography, we used to call, and ultrasound system. Like ultrasound now it is being used for many portfolio, like many areas actually, not only for a pregnant woman, but it is used in everywhere from the human diagnosis point of view. Okay, so then I worked there around 2.5 years. Then I got an opportunity to work with notified body organization. Notified body organization, you might be knowing your laptop example. If you see behind, there is a kind of labels like this, or engraved safety mark will be there, like C mark or UL safety mark, right? So that is called actually a notified body organization. So the organization which can give a safety mark on the product. So that kind of organization. So I joined UL, Underwriter Laboratories. So many times you might be seeing, if you see any product behind, you can see there is a UL mark will be there, right? So that is the notified body organization. Then probably I think around 2.5 years again I worked there and got the knowledge, and then I moved to service industry. You might be heard Wipro Technologies, right? So on that time, IT companies were actually booming. Like they are the guys who actually sending all the people to you and on site, like foreign countries, right? So I joined Wipro Technologies as a senior manager, and then in Wipro I got an opportunity to work with many products, not only restricted to whatever I told you, ultrasound CT, because a service organization, that is the help actually. The person will get a knowledge on varieties of products or varieties of technologies, because the service organization is having a contract with all the customers, like whatever the companies you know now. So everyone will give some kind of work, small kind of projects to a service organization, right? So that way, I got an opportunity to handle many customers, and I traveled to US and I traveled to other places, Taiwan, Singapore. So just to again get the projects, or even to understand the customer needs or customer pain area, so to get the projects. So that way, I worked in Wipro around 9.5 years. Then I moved to a research organization in Philips. Right now, currently, I am working in Philips Research Group. I think already I completed 5+ years, 5.5 years almost. So here I got an opportunity to even go for clinical trials, like pandemic, like how recently, Bharat Biotech got the approval, right? So for medical devices also, we have to conduct clinical trial before we launch the products into market, right? So that way, I actually worked in Philips Research. Even now, I'm more concentrating on regulatory aspects. Okay, so that way, it is my journey. A summary. Okay. Sorry, I think I took more time, but
No, that's fine.
instead of giving you people, like, don't think like if you get an opportunity, any role, okay, so that will really makes you again to learn, okay. So that way, you can have your journey. Yeah, go ahead.
That was a very good and long journey. Coming to project management as such, like we have heard about project managers, but your designation is a program manager. So, what is the
Yeah.
difference between program manager and a project manager? And what is project management according to you?
Okay, very good. I think really a good question, Nischal. Yeah. See, program manager, yeah, my designation currently program manager and project manager. So I will tell you the first that difference, because many times you might be hearing more on project manager, right? So what I can do, project manager means he will lead the team a single project. Okay, like assume that in example in one department, take one department called a patient monitor. I'm just giving an example so that you people can understand. So patient monitor department, so under this there will be some 8 to 10 projects were running. Okay. Assume that some people are working on ECG, some people are working pulse oximeter, or innovative blood pressure, basically non-invasive blood pressure. So that way, the patient monitor is a division which has many projects under that. So project manager will lead a single project. Okay, like example, a team consists of maybe a 15 to 20 people will be working on only ECG development, ECG machine development. So those people can only to do a whatever the market people have told. So they will try to design or develop a software requirement, or even for hardware to make a machine, or electromechanical, even sometimes mechanical is also required if you want to build a complete product, right? So that way the project manager leads entire team. Even the team consists of maybe a software as well as hardware people, as well as mechanical people, even system architect. So all cross-functional segment people will be under him, and they will be working for ECG development. Similarly, other project like IBP, invasive blood pressure group, or non-invasive blood pressure group, they are concentrating on BP machine. Assume that. Okay. So another project manager will be working. So program manager actually leads number of projects in that division. Okay, so he is a single person responsible for that division, like patient monitor division, but project manager is responsible for one particular project. Okay, so that is the main difference actually. You are also asking about project management, right? So good. Yeah. Project management, you can assume. I already hinted you. Already, you people know now. I've given some idea. The team will consist of software, hardware, mechanical, architects, right? So there is a resource management is also part of project management. So if you see project management in a summary, in a two line, in a sentence, so project management is how we managing a project given by the head of the department or department head to to make the product and to release on time, to release on time. Okay, because always that is also important, the target, whatever the timeline given by the management, the project manager has to be aware and he should plan accordingly. So always no project management will go in a reverse. Okay, like example, a market people will tell, okay, customers are telling to me to this is the pain area, so please you make the solution for this. Okay, so then it will drill down to again project manager, like after coming to your program manager, and then again it will come to project manager. Then project manager will ask questions. Okay, is there any timeline to develop this? Is there any target milestones available. Okay, so milestone is also one of the criteria in the project management. So now you know resource management, milestones and deliverables, what kind of deliverables I should prepare. Because once the target date is given, then he will work in a reverse way. Okay, like assume that now this is the month of November, so next quarter by March 2022, I should develop a kind of one solution, software solution, so that market people can come and I can give a demo. Okay, like that way. So then project manager will work how I can do a project management for this development. So he will work reverse. Okay, so he will take the target date and start working. Okay, how I can allocate my resource, software, how many people are required. So what he will do a work breakdown. Okay, work breakdown structure. Like each task, he will make a detailed line of working items. Okay, so he will come to know what all the tasks are required. Then he will break down each task into work breakdown. Okay, then he will calculate for this particular task how much time is required, how much time is required. Okay, then he will come to know to complete, okay, to write the specification, requirement specification for this particular software solution. I may require number of hours like this. Okay, then he will reverse calculate. Okay, then how many people are required in a day? A person can work 8 hours or 8.5 hours. Assume I'm roughly giving these things. So he will calculate and he will come to know, okay, I require 3 FTE or 4 FTE. FTE is nothing but full-time employee. Okay, like as head count, like 3 people means 3 FTE. So that way, project manager will get all the details. I'm just giving you one example, software requirements. Similarly, he will calculate all the elements, okay, including purchasing, because you need to get some components or you need to get some license for getting the tools, right? So you can't just open source tools you can't use for a product, right? See, it is for an experiment, it is okay, but when you want to use in the product, you should get a license, right? So that way he will work each and every task, break down the task and calculate the time and FTE and the competency. That is also important. Competency is nothing but, okay, I require software developer 3 people. Under the software development, developer 3 people. Similarly, verification and validation, 3 people required. So that way, the resource allocation and resource management is the key thing in the project management. Okay. He will do first task is that actually, because that is taking more time. Assume that he require 10 resource by this month end. Whether it is possible, right? It is not possible. Even though organization might be having different people in a different department, he cannot pull everyone immediately, right? So, or he need to hire new people to accommodate this. Or experience level maybe a 3 to 5 years or freshers. So that way he will make that chart matrix and he will go to HR and he will ask, okay, this many people I required and this many people I identified already. They are there in other department, not doing any bandwidth is there for them to even work along with that project. So that way he will discuss with the program manager and HR and make a matrix how many people required to hire, because you know hiring is also not easy. You have to go for schedule for an interview, taking a people consent, and again 3 months or 2 months, we don't know again, right? So so much dependency on resource management. That is the key thing. That is why I explained in detail. Other things are like this. Example, budget. How much budget I am having for this project? Because a program manager will allocate this much amount you should spend for your project. So that amount consists of even resource management, even logistics, even the equipments or the jigs, fixtures or simulators whatever you want to have, those things you have to make it in detail. That is why the project management plan will come into picture. Okay. So that is another element. Okay, the assets required for executing the project. Okay, and the third element, the important thing is like training. Assume that people may have an experience, but they might be not having an experience this particular domain. Like example, you people, if you join medical device industry, you don't know about the medical device industry specific trainings, right? Like example, ISO 13485 is a standard for only medical device. You might be heard 9001 everywhere it is there, right? So similarly, quality management system for a medical is a different standard. So you people have to undergo for that, and you should get a qualification for that to even before you start working in the project. So that is another element, training. Training can be a mandatory trainings like this, like domain specific trainings, or you can have even technology kind of trainings also, right? So that way, the project management consists of the scope of the activity, okay, and then the resource management and deliverables and cost and budget, and the last one, the deliverables list, okay, deliverables with the milestone. Milestone means, okay, you should show some progress to management, right? You can't work 6 months and then at the last moment you will go and tell, oh, I had so many issues, so I will not be able to make by March, right? So that is why the milestones will come into picture. So each milestone will have 15 days or 1 month. So you will go and update what is happening in your project. So the whole things you will detail out in the plan document. That is called project management plan. Okay. So there you will write all the elements of whatever I explained. Then you will also write the dependencies. Okay, dependency means which are all dependency you have. Okay, I may require this. If it comes by this time, then I can do. Otherwise, this will be an issue, or this will be an again to resolve or to find an alternate solution for this. And the last element, you should anticipate risks actually, project risk. Okay, assuming that you hire 3 people, and 3 people are working 1 month, 8 weeks. Then if they again want to leave the company, assume, then who has to take care of whatever the work he has done, right? So that is the risk. So project manager will also prepare risk matrix. He will identify all these elements. If it is not there, what is the mitigation? Okay, so that way the whole thing is actually consists in a document called project management plan or project charter. It is also called, sometimes each organization terminology is different, and even nowadays because of agile coming into picture, so people are telling value stream agreement or value stream agreement plan. Okay, so the terminologies are different, but the contents are whatever I explained you. Say.
That pretty much summed up our software engineering course, Professor.
Oh,
Thank you.
I didn't know what topics you people have now. Okay.
Yeah, I just have a follow-up question. So
Yeah.
all these project managers will come to you as a program manager for the approval, right? Once they list out all the deliverables, milestones. So how do you actually go about validating if it is feasible?
Yeah.
Whatever deliverables and milestones they've set, how do you validate if it is actually possible within the timeline?
Yeah, it is a very good question. See, basically, because we know actually when we allocate the budget or when we allocate the time for to develop this particular solution, so at least we know in a high level what are all the key issues can come in this project or key risks will be there in this project. Okay, so we will just discuss with the project manager and ask what kind of risk you are anticipating. Because see, other things are all okay. I'm not worried much, because definitely he will have an idea, he will capture all the details. But the issue, the risks are important. Where you are anticipating, what kind of risk you are anticipating. So, in one case example, one project manager came and he was telling the tools, whatever he has in his list, he is having an issue. Okay, so those kind of things, like risks, whatever I told you, and what kind of risks, and I will try to find the mitigations if he is not identified. So assume that there is a sometime dependency, the word I used, right? So I may request a IT guy, okay, infrastructure guy, to help me to procure this particular license in a shorter span of 2 weeks. Okay, maybe I may require for 5 people instead of 2 people. So that kind of discussions I will have along with the project manager, with the purchase and IT team, so that they can procure well within the time frame whatever we have told. Okay, so the basically I will try to see the risks is the first one, and the second thing is a purchase, if any purchase elements are required. And the third element, I am also seeing interested to check the milestones. Okay, what kind of activity he is doing initial milestone, what kind of activity he has done in the second quarter in the milestone. So if he is not done properly, so I will advise him to do or to modify the tasks list or activities list based on the experience what I am having. So that way, I will fine tune that project management plan, and then we will take this to a stakeholders. Like another stakeholder, we used to call a market guy. Okay, because ultimately, whatever we are developing, right? So it will go to market, right? So I will call him, and we all again discuss. This is how our plan. This is what we are anticipating, and we may require your help, because when we develop a kind of small module, so we are coming to you in a hospital to test with in the hospital environment. That is called a validation. Okay, so that way we will have a discussion with the marketing people and try to align with the timeline whatever project manager has given, and then overall we will have a clear picture. Okay, we can able to give justice for this solution.
So, can you tell us about one blocker you faced and the plan of action you took to resolve the blocker in a project?
Okay, good. Actually speaking, in my throughout career journey experience, one or other way, we will be having these issues, like while working with the projects. Okay. So I can tell you an interesting example, because I've been working with healthcare industry many years, right? So not in this organization, previous to previous organization. So when I was working, it is again a patient monitor division, okay, and ECG example. I'm giving you an ECG module development, okay. So what happened, we tested in-house. Okay, usually R&D we will do initially all the design and development, and a first level of testing will be done by R&D people. Then we will transfer to quality assurance. Okay, so quality assurance people will do a thorough testing of ECG module, and then we sent this module to field trial. That's what I told you, a clinical trial, right? So field trial. So when the module went to field trial, we experienced a problem. Till now, we have not faced any issue. ECG waveform, even you might be knowing in a ECG pattern, it will be PQRS, right? Like you might be seeing, it is looks like a sine wave, but will have all the amplitude, the structure of the waveform is different slightly. So QRS basically, okay. So when our module working in a ward, okay, it is fine. It is working very good. But when this module taken into a ICU, okay, intensive care unit, okay, there this module, if you see a waveform, it is giving like a flat line. Okay, it is not giving waveform only. Patient is alive. He is not dead actually. But if you see the waveform, it is a straight line. ECG straight line. Okay, and then we got a big feedback, big escalation, and from the market, because market guy is thinking that it will be okay even in ICU and we can able to release this in the next quarter. But huge impact on R&D of this particular department, and we got a very bad feedback. This module is not working in ICU. So then people start working. What is the issue? What is the problem? Is there any design issues? Is there any, what kind of issues are there? So when we again rework, like when we re-engineer it done, what kind of problems it was there, then we realized there is a problem with the circuit. Okay, the circuit which has the clock frequency and with having a amplifier, and there is another circuit was there, so filter circuit, okay, all three when we designed an ECG module. So there, when we put this module in a ICU, the filter mechanism was not working only. The clock frequency, whatever we are actually giving a signal, it is not as per our requirement. The software, whatever has been there, it was not in that requirement. So there was a team went and again analyzed the problem, and they realized this is three issues we found. Then we have another challenge. Why this problem then not come in the ward? Why only in the ICU, right? So why not? It is not anticipated in the normal ward when this is operating. So then we realized that in a hospital ICU environment, we have a many other equipments also. Okay, along with ECG, there will be because doctor always do a surgery, or he always do perform some kind of procedures, right? So there will be a lot of equipments other than our module. Like there will be a ventilator, there will be another machine which a medical equipment which some other manufacturer. So the main the problem has come in ICU unit is basically from the interference, electromagnetic interference and compatibility. You know, EMI, EMC, right? So that is why the clock frequency, whatever has been designed in the amplifier, was not triggering, was not working at that time. Okay, so that way the analysis went actually. Okay, and another problem was also there. There was a grounding issue was also there, because in a ICU, right, we will not have a many power units in a different way. Okay, one earthing, there is a phase and neutral will be connected. So the grounding mechanism is different in the ICU as well as normal ward. Okay, so that also triggered this ECG module to give flat line. Okay, so this kind of root cause, that is the word I am using, because that is the terminology in industry. People will tell what is the root cause for this problem, how many problems have come. So that way they identified these four problems. Then there is a design change, like, okay, design change team has come, and they actually what kind of alternate design we can do, modify, and what kind of software we can do, modify, so that the filter mechanism, instead of hardware, let it be there in the software itself, right? So that way they have done, they fit the software, hardware modification, and clock frequency also. They choose an alternate one and tried it together, and they also made a grounding also in a different way, so that the card, whatever has been designed by the organization. Next, when we took this into ICU, it has worked and it has not having any problem. So that way, this module again later as a released in a one of the patient monitor.
Okay, so sometimes when there's a sudden change in the client's requirement, how
Yeah.
do you handle such a situation?
Yeah, very good. It is happening every day, even day to day. It is happening continuously because now the client requirements are very very specific and always it will be changing every time. Okay, so usually to accommodate this client requirements because always we can't freeze the requirements, that is where the agile methodology is coming to picture. So the work mode of agile, especially on software development, like software, whatever we are developing. So there we have like flexibility if any change comes from the client. Okay. So again, the product owner and again the Scrum Master and the team here in the Agile core team, everyone together, they will work together and they will try to accommodate, okay, in a stipulated time, so that any change or any requirement which can be done in a for particular solution, they can tweak and they can give a priority. Okay, they will analyze that. Okay, this feature, whatever client has told, whether it is required in the beginning only, or first 10 weeks, or first 5 weeks, in a first sprint or second sprint. So that way they will decide and they will accommodate this change. So agile methodology helps these kind of changes, frequent changes by the customer. We can incorporate that. And the important thing here everyone will be contributing in agile, okay, like together at the same time. So I'm not telling again in a normal methodology like a V model or a waterfall model. Okay, so the team will be working, everyone will be working, but here everyone will be working together at the same time. Okay, development is also happening, testing is also happening, and the display, like example UI. Okay, you are developing a UI, so everything is happening in a smaller shorter span of time, and you are giving a demo to customer means market guy, and then if he is okay, then it is going to customer to check initial feedback, because once you develop complete thing, once you go back to hospital, then customer may tell, no, this is not what I asked you, right? So that way, this helps agile way of working, helps to adopt frequent changes and to give a more output. Okay, so that way we are doing currently.
So talking about medical device industry specifically, how do you make sure that the quality of the product when it's given to the client is the best? How do you assure the
Yeah,
quality?
yeah, it is really a good question, and because we are playing with the human being, right? So that is a important thing. So always medical device, it is a very very having a high standard of quality. That is why I told you initially. We when suppose if you are entering into a medical device industry, you have to complete a mandatory trainings. Okay, there is a specific standards are there for a medical device or a healthcare industry. Okay, so that way, like example, for a safety of the patient. So always we should remember in healthcare three principles. Okay, like the safety of the user, safety of the patient, safety of the environment. Okay, these three always. These are the three principles. So if we make sure our product is being developed and if it is safe for the user or safe for the patient, safe for the environment, even safe for the bypasser. Bypasser means suppose you are operating in a ICU or in a ward. So even bypasser who is coming as a assume that a helper or not related to a family. Okay, even for them also, this particular unit should be safe. That is the funda principle in this industry. So that way they have created the standards for each. Like safety, there is a standard. It is called 60601-1 standard. Similarly, EMI EMC, I explained you just previous case study. So there is a separate standard. And for a risk management, just now we discussed risk, right? That risks for the project, whatever I discussed with you. But now what I'm speaking is a product risk. Okay, like software. Example, if you are developing a software, the risks, whatever the risks are involved, you should document that. That is a mandatory requirement in the healthcare industry. That is called a risk management plan, risk analysis document. Okay, so that way there is a mandatory things. So that will help a manufacturer if he release a product to a market. Okay, like when customer sees, he always believe if it is classified under medical device. Okay, so then he understood, oh, this product has been tested all these standards. Okay, if the classification is not telling about medical device standard, then he will think, even though it is a medical device, but it is not being tested as per the standards. So he will not buy also. He will not even see. Like example, in an app, you might be seeing in mobile apps, many healthcare related apps are coming, right? Like example, even I've seen some apps will even give you a pulse oximeter reading. Okay, like they have developed some technology to put backlight in the phone, right? Or the light which comes from camera. So they try to again take the readings and they are displaying. So those are all not called as a medical device. Okay, so medical device, always see the label. When you buy a product, always see the label. In the label, like example, whatever I showed you here, the marking, right? Here UL mark, FDA, C mark. So that kind of mark, when you see user manual, they will be mentioning this safety mark has been tested as per the medical device standards. The standards, if you see all these, whatever I explained you. Even software, we have a standard called IEC 62304. You can Google it anytime. You people can check. So that is a standard called for software development life cycle. Okay, for only medical device. Again, IEC 62304. Okay? So that standard will give you. Suppose if you want to develop a software in a medical device industry, you should not only have a coding standards or whatever you have a techniques to develop. Along with that, you should follow this guideline. That way, we are ensuring the quality of the product.
That was a clear explanation. So, moving on, when we are talking about medical devices, we are definitely dealing with patients' data. So, how do you ensure the data privacy and security is always maintained? Because you can't really give out patients' data to anyone who asks for it.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. I think you are asking all the like day-to-day questions, and because we are dealing every day this kind of issues, this kind of things every day, the discussions are happening with the team. Okay, very good. So about this privacy, okay. Whenever we are taking the data from the hospital, okay, the first task we are doing a privacy impact assessment. That is called a PIA, okay, privacy impact assessment. So what is this privacy impact assessment? So before even we start the study or clinical study, okay, or before even we take the data, we will create a document like assessment document, and there we will address, okay, so to start with, what kind of information I want from the hospital. Okay. So is it only a vital parameters, or I require even name of the person, or age, or even the date of birth? So what kind of information I want from the hospital, that data for my module, for my AI module to train, what kind of data I want. So I will first decide that element. Okay, so I will list down that what kind of parameters I want from the data. Then, okay, the second point, how I'm actually taking this data from the hospital, whether the data can come from like having an agreement with the hospital, or sometime you might be seeing the data you are able to get from the internet itself. Many websites are there, like challenge websites are there, so they always dump like many images, many data, patient records, everything. So there is a binding here in any industry. So they can't just like that download the data from the net. Okay, so we have to consult the legal department. Okay, legal department will see the internet website. Our legal department will check what kind of terms and condition you might be. We always ignore that, right? Whenever we just tick, okay, first we want to download, that is our motto. But because this is okay, as an individual I can do as a my Gmail account, but I can't do in my any organization account. When you have any organization email ID like Philips or L&T, Shimatsu, whatever I worked, so I can't download that directly, even though I may have an access. So I will consult with the legal. So that also I will document whether legal has been approved or legal has checked the terms and condition, or sometime even the vendor like internet provider, he has a clauses we are not reading, so will not come to know. He will put a clause, whenever you are downloading the data, you should give me a credit when you want to public, or when you want to publish a paper, when you want to again no filing, or when you use my data into your module development. So that also legal team will check whether it is feasible for the organization. Because tomorrow, if I download as it is, and if I develop my product, if I might develop my module, and he can come and he can file a case against the organization, right? Because he will tell very clearly, they have not read my terms and condition. They have not gone through my sharing agreement, data sharing agreement. So we both not signed. So that way he may again file against the organization. So that way legal team will ensure. Okay, this is another aspect. The third aspect, assume that the informed consent, when you are taking the data, whether really the patients have agreed to share their data, even vital parameter. I'm not telling about personal data. Okay, personal data is ruled out. You can't even take the data from hospital. But even the vital parameters, which is required for my module development, for that also, whether patient has given a consent. Okay, that is another important. We will check. Okay, so if consent is not there, we will prepare a consent form and we are sending along with our prototype or along with our module when the study is happening, and patient will first sign, then only we will take his data or we will execute the clinical trial. Okay, so that another thing we will incorporate, informed consent. The another important thing, once you collect the data, okay, we don't know, sometimes hospital may not be deleting all personal information, right? So they will tell, okay, my study is over, you can take this data. Okay, so you can't directly take the data. So the privacy person or privacy officer will ask whether data has been de-identified. are anonymized. Okay, so anonymization or de-identification is what it is, nothing but all personal information is being deleted or it is being blocked. Okay, so that way the assessment again will check another point. And the last point, because I actually now gone through the step by step, the last point, before you transfer the data to Philips or any organization, how you are transferring, the method or mode of transfer. So you can't transfer through email. Okay? The data cannot attach and transfer to Philips email ID or Shimadzu email ID or L&T email ID, right? So because that can be accessible to many people, and patient has not given consent to access 100 people of organization, right? So he has given access to only the team who is working on this project. That also he will give a condition. After you develop, you have to delete the data sometime. Okay, he will ask us to delete the data, or he will give a consent. Okay, you can use the data for a research purpose, because research purpose is a social, his social requirement, right? Like as a country, like example vaccine, so many people has involved to take that vaccine drugs, right? So that way it is a social, my social responsibility, so he will sign. So that way, the informed consent clauses they will verify and they will check, and the data when it comes to organization, it should be de-identified. And the mode of transfer. Mode of transfer means, suppose assume that you will download the data in a hard disk, separate hard disk in hospital, and that data you will bring it to organization. No, that is also not good, because assume that when you are coming back from hospital, assume that you collected the data in Mumbai and Mumbai ultrasound clinic, and when I am bringing this data to Bangalore while travel, assume that I lost my hard disk. Then the situation you assume, who got that? He may retrieve all the personal information or vital information of the patient. That is not, that is a violation. Correct? So always we should do encryption. When you download the data from the instrument in the hospital, the researcher or coordinator in the hospital will ensure the data has been encrypted, so that the hard disk, if even lost also, the original data will be there in the hospital. Second time you can go and request the problem. Okay, so that way there is a mechanism, there is a security assessment, privacy assessment will be done, then only we are doing this study. So this, whatever the things I explained you, we are doing before itself, the plan. So we will do like this, we are writing how we are handling. So once this execution started, there is a check will going to happen, like clinical monitor, there is a role, clinical monitor. He will visit the site and he will see whatever I committed in a privacy and security, whether I am following or not, whether it is happening like that or not. He will check and he will give it again approval. Then only the data will come to organization.
That's an amazing answer. So you mentioned working with AI, right? So how
Yeah.
AI is like really booming in the medical industry now. So how do you
Yeah.
make sure you tackle the risks that it provides to the patient? Because again, it's AI, it's not a human that's actually working it. So how do you tackle the risk associated with AI?
Good, good, really good. See, right now, as AI is also now coming into picture in a medical device industry, so a lot of notified bodies released the guidelines. Guidelines in the sense, not clearly they have defined the standards requirement, but they have just given a guideline how we need to do. Like they always see the statistical analysis, especially in AI. Okay, so how many data has been collected to develop this module? Okay, so data validation. Okay, so what is the training data? How the test data has been identified, how the bias has been explained. So there's a clear plan has to be prepared, like data strategy. Okay, in that we should explain all these things. Okay, statistical analysis, and the second element, how much data, based on this, how many data sets have been trained, what is the my methodology to train the data, how I am doing the bias. The test data is different than validation of the data, right? So how I am handling this. When the data comes from hospital, I explained you the team members can access the data. If everyone is access the data, then what is the point of test data, validation of the data, train data, right? So that strategy, the data strategy, we should make a plan, and we are writing in a data strategy for AI plan. Okay. Once we made this plan, this will be reviewed by again a technologists, as well as the security privacy person, because those people also involved, whether I have done adequately, the precautions has been taken. Okay. And the second element, the data quality, that is important. See, I may get hundreds of data, thousands of data. If the quality of the data is not good, if I train in the module, what kind of result I will get? Correct? Assume that I need to identify in a chest X-ray the block. Assume that, okay? So because of the COVID, right? So there will be scores will be there, right? So if the mechanism, if we have not written properly, or if the data quality is not good, so the result, it may show something else, right? So the data quality is important. So that way, how you will ensure data quality, that is another question. So initially, we should always do a pilot kind of development. So we always take the data from the example I am giving you from the radiologist. Okay, radiologist, what they will do, they will always annotate the data. Oh, this is the problem. They will always mark. Okay, so these are all the things. So that data, if we bring, okay, then if you train, at least the accuracy or the performance wise, right? So you will have a better results. So that way, in a medical device industry, having this kind of planning will be there. So that planning will be done in a AI data strategy plan. So there we will identify all these elements, and we will also see as a software acts like a medical device or not, or software is embedded into a product, or it is act as a standalone. So that way we will again articulate in the plan, and then the execution will start.
That's an amazing answer. So on a totally different note, right? Since for the past 2 years, majority of the work has been online, right, due to COVID. So how do you? So burnout becomes a really huge factor there, right? So how do you make sure your team does not face burnout, or basically all the targets that you have set for the team are met like accurately?
You're asking a right question. That's why I'm telling you, you people are asking day-to-day questions what we are facing. I don't know how you got all these questions. Good. This question, because now you know the working from home concept, online again mode of working, and people are actually not interfacing like as a team. Okay, they are not seeing face to face, right? So we also face a lot of challenges actually, but of course. Because of the infrastructure, whatever the organization is having. Like example, even in the team itself, okay, we can able to do a subgroups, right? Like Microsoft Team is being used in many organizations. So in that meeting conference itself, we will have a subgroups, and each group can again discuss individually and again come back in a bigger forum, and then they can give a final, again, a overall recommendation. So that way, a Microsoft team is helped actually for the team. That is our first part. The second part, our IT team, our company IT team, infrastructure team has worked tremendously day to day, because uh, uh, the connecting the servers, because all our data will be there in the cloud, right? So we have example, the current case, the Philips is having all over global, right? So all the data, whatever I am working in a Cambridge example, US Cambridge lab, people has to check, people has to download whatever I have uploaded the things, right? So that way the IT team is very well managed. They supported, and they day to day, even though we are not gone to office, but those people, the essential people, went to office, and they have done a tremendous work to stabilize this kind of environment. Okay, so that is another challenge. The third challenge, yeah, we always faced a customer front, because you have developed everything, okay, but how I should take this to hospital, okay. So that way the marketing team actually helped us again, because those people are also as a front end warrior for us, okay. For us they are the front end warriors, so they took the solution, and they convinced the doctor. Even for COVID, we developed many solutions for COVID, like COVID in the sense existing machine add on, okay. Like example, CT, we have a CT machine, so we add on COVID solution, so that in a CT scan, when you undergo, so you can identify the COVID symptoms, okay.
Okay.
So that way, I'm just giving an example. So we developed many solutions like this, and it went to market, and market people is our front end warriors. They took with the help of doctors, and they installed, and they demonstrated, and we are about to release those elements.
Okay.
Now it is at least better. People are going to office now, already started. It may now hybrid way of working. That way we are doing now. Correct.
Okay, that's an amazing answer. Okay, so final question for you. So,
Oh, okay.
since all of us are soon starting a corporate career, right? So, do you have any advice for us, or advice to anyone general who wants to be a program manager in the future?
Okay. Okay. Good. So my sincere advice, you people, think as a project manager or program manager, whatever the role you will going to play. First, always, if you are working from the development life cycle, so always think from this. In a product, you have a development life cycle, right? Any product, like software development, you will have first, what is that? Software planning. Okay, so then you will have a software design, and software high level design, low level design, and again you will end up with the verification, validation, right? So try to gather all the phases of information, okay. Don't stick to one area. Yeah, initially you may stick into a development, I agree. You learn that, you become a master in that, but don't ignore other areas, okay. So you also keep an eye on other areas, like how the testing is happening, how this guy is doing verification, whether he has done properly or not. When I developed the requirement specification, whether really all the requirements have been tested or not. So unless you have knowledge on verification, you will not be. Otherwise, you will ignore. Okay, I developed. I have done my job. Okay, but yeah, you have done your job excellent. But you have not seen other guys taken forward whatever you have done the good job, right? So that way, you please keep an eye on other aspects. Okay, like detailed design. If you are in a team of detailed design team, then you see from the product architect how this guy is seeing as a system. Okay, always first step, you understand, even though you are working a small part, but try to gather a big information. Ultimately, what? Why I am developing this? You get that picture, big picture first. Then come down, drill down to your area. Then you start working on your product or project. Okay. So that way, keep an eye and see how these people are having an issues, and then try to involve in a meeting or give suggestions. Always proactive, even though it is a okay, it is not a valid suggestion, no problem, but speak out. That's what is required nowadays, actually. Okay, always speak out and see where exactly you can contribute, even though it is not your area. At least you can give suggestions. Okay, so that way you can learn from each other and try to become. Once you have a knowledge on all, then automatically you will be ending up the role of project manager, program manager, or a director, any role. It is okay because that guy has actually seen all these elements and involved in all the issues. Basically, see how the manager, the word will come. So you are able to resolve the issues. Okay. In a bank, he is managing, but in industry, the manager role is resolving always. That is the term you can keep. Okay.
Thank you. That's amazing advice. Does anybody have any
Uh,
question?
yeah, thanks for all your answers. It provided a lot of knowledge with respect to patient monitors and
Okay.
healthcare industry as a whole. So, just a last HR kind of question.
Oh,
Uh, what is your aim in the next 5 years? What do you want to become? What do you want to see yourself?
okay. Good. So, frankly speaking, after 5 years, I'm actually thinking to tie up with many of my colleagues who are interested and see whether we can start a small startup or anything. So that, see, always we should see contribution to society. That is the ultimate aim. See, now, yeah, we have to work, we have to gain the knowledge, we have to support family, we have to do all the things. I agree. But after certain age, like example, you told good question, maybe after 5 years, maybe my service itself 9 years, Mr. Whole service, because 60 years they will, people will, like company only will ask me to, okay, Jagdish, please, you have prepared a retirement letter. Okay. But no, your question is good. So I'm thinking in those lines. I don't know whether it will work out or not, but I'm having a like-minded people, like how people are thinking like me only. But still, it is in a thinking stage only. Yeah, maybe definitely I'm having that kind of plan, Mr. If not possible also, maybe as a advisor or a consultant working especially for a government organization, because when you start working after retirement, I'm telling, yeah, when you start working as a private industry again, the principal things are different, right? So we always think at the end what we are giving to society. Okay, that is the last word. So I wanted to adapt because I'm telling you people, but I should first adapt, right? So I'm working on those lines.
That's great. That's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you for uh, thank you for the amazing session. We learned a lot.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
think good. I think you people interacted. I also felt very happy actually by interacting with you people. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for your time, sir. It
Thank
was
you for your time.
really an amazing session. We got very good insights about how things work out in the business
Thank
piece,
you.
actually.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.